I don't want them to hear without you do this and you did this. I need positive affirmation. So I would say build your relationship on positive affirmation, and you got to practice it by yourself, not on the kid. You got
Mm.
to practice it by yourself. So you take your phone, you write down some notes, and then you just say positive affirmations about the kid. You do that all day. You put it down, then you get back on it, you do it again. So when you get in front of the kid or on the phone, you know what, man, you're a dominant dude. You just dominate. That's just what you do. You're an elite hooper. Your IQ is off the charts, and it'll roll off secondary, and then it'll you want to. He'll believe it.
Well, everyone, this is Tim Brown, author of the book Uncommon Athletes Filled with Passion, Fuel Your Purpose. And I'm blessed to have today on the show. I want to do a different spin today. I wanted to talk to a parent of who was blessed to play at the collegiate level, played high school football and played college football, as well as has two sons who are involved in sports. One's a current college player, the other one's being recruited. So I want to get his spin on this whole deal about being an uncommon athlete, and really want to speak to parents as well about that recruiting process. So this is Dontay Hunter. Dontay's a buddy from East Cleveland Shaw High School, one of the Cardinals. Who
Right.
migrated down here to Columbus. Dontay, you want to first off introduce yourself and just tell a little bit about your background in sports and your sons.
Well, I played at Bowling Green State University. Well, first of all, from East Cleveland Shaw High School. Was playing under Coach Tom Miller with your nephew Calvin Brown. We were a couple big recruits coming out of East Cleveland at the time. Left East Cleveland, went to Bowling Green State, played under Coach Gary Blackney, where I spent 4 years there. Um, had a hell of a ride at Bowling Green. Hell of a ride. It was a great experience.
Yeah, now you have two sons, and one is playing collegiately. Where is he playing at? And how about your
It's
youngest?
Dante Hunter the second. He's at Purdue University playing defensive end. It's about 6'5", 269, 270. And then I have a younger son, Donovan Hunter's at Westerville Central. He's like 6'8", 195, wing forward.
Wow, all right. Well, you breeding them, huh? I know Dante. I know your youngest son. Devin had a good run this year at Westerville Central. They went pretty deep in the tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, we went to state, lost by a point, and I was blessed to have. He started that game as a sophomore, so he got that experience under his belt, and it was a big experience for him, man. I mean, I was a big feather in his cap leading going into his junior campaign, so it was big.
It's good stuff.
Mhm.
Let's jump in and talk about this whole recruiting process. I know you went through it uh, back when you were in high school, and now
Yeah.
you had one son, have another son is right in the middle of it.
Mhm.
How's that recruiting? How has it changed now? Is it what's different? What do you see different now that you're on this side as a parent versus being a player?
Well, being on this side as a parent, I see that I see the loopholes that I can help my kid with, and having them understand the business part of collegiate athletics. Because as a parent, when I was being recruited, it was, hey, you go to Ohio State, you start at Ohio State, you going to the NFL. I mean, that's all my household said, which was cool because they put a vision in me, and I ran with it as far as I could go anyway. But as when I being in college, going through the process, you understand that this is a business, okay? And I teach both of them that, hey, that college coach who recruited you needs to win games. He's probably looking for a bigger school or even get to the NFL, his next coaching gig. So you have to know that going in. And they honeymoon you, and then the honeymoon is over. Once you get to camp, it's done. It's time to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you talked about Bowling Green being such a great experience for you. Talk about your college experience and some of the takeaways that you're kind of passing on to your sons.
Well, some of the do's and the don'ts, being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, following team protocol, understanding that when you're in college, it's to get a degree, The NFL is second. Football is a vehicle, man. It's only going to take you so far. Until you got to change it. You know how it is. I'm in the car industry now. People come and trade their vehicles in all the time. So until you got to trade that in for the next phase of life, this is a vehicle. You got to use it to get you to A to B. And right now, that vehicle is allowing you to get a degree.
That's good stuff. That's a good word there. Can you talk about parents' involvement in the recruiting process?
Okay, well, I think a parent should be heavily involved, but not helicopter parent, I should say. I think that, as a kid is going through this process, he's a kid. You got to remember he's a kid and he's trying to learn how to develop and gain disciplines. So he doesn't, every kid is not going to get up and set their clock at 5 o'clock in the morning to be there at 6 and have reminders throughout the day to be where they need to be. So as a parent, we can get weary at always saying, hey, at every corner, hey, you got to be here. You need to do this. You need to do this. But who's else going to teach him? So, we have to do it. And you just can't give up on the mental development of the process of your child. You have to stay focused, invested to the mental process for them and help them the entire time.
Yeah, when you spoke of that mental process, that's something that we see a lot today in sports. Are kind of coming to light, this whole mental health deal. How do you help your sons remain well-rounded individuals? Where the whole life is not sports. How did you help them become well-rounded?
That's tough. That's tough because I know that, first and foremost, man, we believers in Christ. We love the Lord in our house. So we got to stay grounded. We all have a common bond in that aspect. This is not something that we say. This is something that we actually do. We love the Lord. I'm a deacon at Columbus Christian Center Church. I'm not perfect, but I understand the higher cause. And I try to bring them along and raise them as well. But Tim, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's difficult to just not talk about you know football, basketball, what you need to be doing, how we can get better. Did you do this? Because Tim, the ultimately anybody who's played at the highest level understands that you eat this constantly. This is something that you consumes you, and if it's not consuming, you probably won't go too far. I mean, not as the parent, but I'm talking about as the kid. If that kid didn't have a burning desire in him to want to get there, and it's not in his thought process all day. Now, I know that may seem like much, but if it's not there, then it's probably not something that he really wants to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's hard. That's a tough question to answer.
It's a tough one. So I think the other side of it is, when did you see that desire? When did you see that passion in your boys that, hey, that they want to do it? Not so much doing it for dad and all that, but when did you see that passion? When did you notice that?
Well, in the early stages, it was more of them just, being around me when I watched football on TV, or when I'm with my buddies and we talking about sports or whatever, and just watching their engagement, watching me. And then once I saw that, of course, I put a football in his baby crib or a baseball or basketball, you know what I mean? But, and then I'm wanting to play. Then, I'll give you an example. My oldest boy, he took basketball serious in the beginning. He wanted to play basketball. He wanted to wear the headband. He wanted to get the LeBron James. He wanted to do everything, So we pushed him. Hey, man, you want to play? Let's go. We put him in all little league camps around Columbus, And then, but when he started to, you could just see it on the court. Like, I didn't see my kids in La La Land in the early age. Like, they was just out there and kind of like, okay, whatever. It seemed like they were engaged. And once I saw it, I just kind of just kept scooting them to it. And then as the older they got, I went from scooting to pushing. And then the older they got, I went to pushing harder. You know what I mean? So I never stop. I'll never stop.
how did they respond to that? You know, that scooting and then the pushing and the pushing. How did
What
they respond to that?
well, as you get older, as a teenager, you start to, by the age of 16, now I'm influencing my kid. I'm not really telling them what to do. So that pushing becomes a little bit more rebuttal because now their mind is incorporated in what they think and what they want to do. But I have an override button as a dad. Dad, you know what I mean? I can push a button and just kind of, and I'm not worried about what they're talking about, but I still give them boundaries and their respect. Um, but it became a little harder for Dontay and me in his relationship because when I thought that he should be in the yard doing drills or, hey, let's go over here to the weight room. He wanted, Dad, I just want to play video games, or Dad, I just want to go to the movies with such and such. And I'm like, hey, if you really want to do this, this is what we need to be doing right now. And, sometimes he would get me so upset, I would just have to back off and my wife would calm me down. Like, look, it's not about you, it's about them. And, heck, I even talked to you a couple of times, like, hey, man, let him come to you. You did everything, but I would just have to learn how to relax and just breathe, man. Now, my youngest, he's a little bit more receptive.
Mhm.
I say, Donovan, let's go get on the Vertimax. Okay, here go. Now, Donovan, let's go to Chuck's. Let's go to Jason Doss. Let's go to Drew. Let's go to Reese. Okay, he ready to go. But the only thing with Donovan is I'm still trying to get him to say, Dad, I'm ready. Can you take me? Dad, I'm about to leave and go. I'm trying to get him to evolve to that point where he goes without me saying, hey, let's do it. You know what I mean? But for the most part, he does. And I think on the outside looking in, people would say he's doing a great job. I guess because I'm in such a close proximity. I want him to do more. You want to be perfect. You know what I mean? So it won't be, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, I think sometimes as parents we're so close to it because we know our children and we know what's
Yeah.
inside of them,
Mm.
and we're trying to get that out of them. But at some point,
Yes,
like you said, they have to want it, And when the light bulb kicks in, and that's what
exactly.
you want to get to where they're telling you, hey, Dad, let's go do this. And then
Exactly.
you're like, oh yeah, he got it. When that happens, and then you can but you gotta let them get there. You have to let them get there, and they'll get there. You've seen it with your son. And I think the younger one kind of sees that success of the older son, at least that opportunity to play at that level. And he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I see it. I see. And then you see what it takes. And
Right.
you hit on something really important to me is just about exposure. The
Yeah.
more we expose these young men to different opportunities, then they can kind of make that decision. Do you really want this? So speaking of, how was I know your youngest son's been involved, Dontay was involved in that AAU experience. How was that this season?
It
Coming
was
up.
actually it was actually a very successful season. We played with the Indy Heat, EYBL. We played on their top tier team. And I want to reiterate, this was a team that came to us. They recruited us. We didn't go looking for them. Thank God they did recruit us, but they came through, wanting Donovan. They loved his game. They brought him down. They took him. They was like family. Um, but like I said, at the end of the day, it was a very successful. However, now that I've been through that process, I would tell a parent, stay in your state and play.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying it for any negative reasons. I'm just going back on relationships. Some of the relationships I didn't know I had really deep relationships with some of these AAU directors that came out and was talking to me. And I'm like, well, wow, I wish I would have known I would have never went to Indiana. But the relationship is key. And I just feel in my heart that people who know your game and they've seen your son in these gyms during the year, they'll have a more vested interest in him because they know him. He's part of their fiber. He's from their state. He's from their hometown. So I think it's just not on the outside looking in. I just think it's better to stay in state to play, unless you got a great situation where you at.
Yeah. I think you hit on something there. We talk about relationships.
Oh yeah,
That's what this thing's all about, building those relationships. And they're not just relationships on the basketball court for today, but they're relationships down the road.
yeah,
You guys you're playing with, you may end up playing with some of those same guys in college or working together later on in life. And we know how sports build those relationships, that camaraderie,
right.
and networking. And also, I think it's important for families as well. because, you go out of state, you're just going to see those families during the summer or whatnot, but if
Exactly.
you're with someone here in Columbus or in Ohio, you have a good shot of really developing a relationship with those families as well. And to me, that's one of the big pluses of the summer basketball, or just this whole piece is the relationships,
Relationships.
lifelong friendships, and not just for students,
Yes, sir.
athletes, but for parents as well,
Yeah.
as well. And I know your sons are great students as well. Can you talk about how you're able to help them realize and maintain, and this is for parents, how important it is to maintain those top academics as well? You have a son at Purdue, and I know how hard it is to get in Purdue, academically. It's not just somewhere you just can walk into, so
Right.
you talk about how important academics is in your house as well.
Well, my wife, we work as a team. Really, we do. My wife is a speech language pathologist. So with the academic piece, she's on it. I give her top. I give my hats off to my wife. She makes sure grades is on point. They got everything they need for school as far as paperwork, pencils, the computers. She makes sure. She takes pride in it. She was a top tier student as well. So she really wants them to evolve, and she always, preaches, "Hey, football is only here for this short amount of time. Your brain is forever. We need to get this degree. We need to get a meaningful degree. We need to be a productive citizen, model citizen." This is the things that they've been hearing since they were little. So I help with the academic side, but I'm more athletic, man. I'm the athletic guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good to have that balance in the house.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta get out the way, let you handle that part, and then, hey, if you got questions about math and calculus, I ain't the one.
I can help them, but I defer to her because she's actually great at it.
Yeah,
so why not get you to somebody that's great? So
that's good stuff there. Well, I appreciate this. I appreciate your transparency as well in this conversation, just being perfectly honest. But this last one is, what's a word of advice you would give to parents of young athletes on how to find that balance in sports? How do they maintain, where it's not sports?
Positive affirmations.
Mm.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. And the reason why is so it's not sports. Even though in my house it seems that way, but what I'm working on daily is a positive affirmations, because when you are as involved as I am, like hands-on pushing, and always in their face and ear about it, you can have a tendency to always rehearse the negative.
Mm.
Now, what I mean by that is, if I go and watch you train, I'm watching everything about you. So, oh, you didn't do this. Come on, man, you got to pick it up here. You didn't do that. You could have did this. And but then you see, and it's sometimes I know I mean well, but the words may come off differently. So in their times of struggle, whether it's in a game or at a practice, I don't want them to hear, "Well, you do this and you did this." I need positive affirmation. So I would say, build your relationship on positive affirmation, and you got to practice it by yourself, not on the kid. You got to practice it by yourself. So you take your phone, you write down some notes, and then you just say positive affirmations about the kid. You do that all day. You put it down, then you get back on it, you do it again. So when you get in front of the kid or on the phone, you know what, man, you're a dominant dude. You just dominate. That's just what you do. You're an elite hooper. Your IQ is off the charts, and it'll roll off secondary, and then he'll believe it. Eventually, he'll believe it. But as far as Tim, and again, I said this is a tough question. For it to really not be just basketball all the time, Tim, that's tough. Or football is tough. It's tough because you and I both know, unless you are like a mutant athlete, okay, where you can just get out of the bed and you don't have to train.
Mm.
If this isn't consuming the average Joe in order to get in the gym and get better, and having that ingrained in here, you probably won't. So I look at it as a small window of opportunity. So I'm gonna be vested right now to get you to where you need to be. Now, if you want to make a move when you get to college and you feel like NFL is what's calling you or NBA is what's calling you, I'm right there pushing again. But that at that point, it's on you.
Right.
But right now, graduate high school. Let's not make any stupid mistakes or decisions. And let's train. Let's take care of our bodies. Let's get on our knees and let's pray. And let's train. Let's go be the best in the state. That's just what it is. I mean, and we got pockets in there, Tim, where we can laugh and giggle, but dude, I'm consumed with it. I mean, it's no other way to tell you. I mean, it's consuming, but I've learned to be. It's healthy.
Right, that's the key.
It's healthy, and you look at it this way, Tim. When if you're writing a book or anything that you're doing in life that you're motivated on, just think of the hours of consumption that it took for you to get that done. So now we're talking about a human being, and the development of their mind may not be as fast as the next one. So you got to stay in that pocket long enough to get the result. So that's where I'm at.
No, that's good. That's good. As we wrap up, I want to leave this with you, and you kind of hit on it, that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And we have to continue to speak life over our children.
Yes.
That's the first thing that came to mind. The second thing is this: I want to encourage yourself and parents who have these elite athletes it's important to surround them with other like-minded athletes, other like-minded athletes and like-minded for their sakes. That way that they don't feel like they see, well, man, dad might be doing this, but here's another dad with the same piece. Everybody's in that same boat,
right.
Who's pushing, and they're pushing each other to be better,
Yeah.
But this doesn't become, you're not on an island by yourself,
Right.
And so I want to encourage yourself and those who are in those environments to surround yourself, surround your student athlete with a partner, somebody who works out with them, someone who's after that same goal, and then they'll push each other and they'll encourage each other to be the best they can be. And then just because at the end of the day, this is what we do, we just out here working, we out here working, that's the key.
Absolutely.
Here by ourselves, we out here working. So I want to encourage you to continue to do that. And I know you are and you will. And like I say, you have a short window. But you want to make sure you create that environment where when the kids are older, grown, that they still want to have a relationship with dad, that they still want to have a relationship with dad and mom. They still want to come home and have that relationship. You don't want to create that where, well, I don't want to go there because I know what dad's going to say. So I love your positive affirmation. So I want to encourage you to continue in that. Keep doing
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Because they're blessed. I mean, God's blessed them with a great gift. That's about at the end of the day. God's blessed them with a gift, and then that talent that you don't want to bury that talent.
No.
You want to work.
That's great.
Well, I appreciate your time. This has been really great, and I'm looking forward to following your sons. And I want to applaud you and you and your bride for raising good character young men, good quality young men who are more than athletes. Mm-hmm. That's the other part of that they're good character young men, they're good guys. And that's the most important thing, they're God-fearing, God-loving, and they know that God will take care of whatever happens. It's a bonus.
Yes.
There's a bonus.
Yes, sir.
All right, my friend. Well, I appreciate you, and we're gonna keep Shaw High going, brother. Got to keep the Cardinals going.
Shaw High for life.
Yeah, that's it. All right, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate you.